Hello, welcome back to Mini-Modelog. So this week is mid-month news. I didn't do one last month because obviously I had Warhammer Fest and I thought I'd give you that information instead. But obviously the big news at the moment is the kind of pre-orders for Age of Sigmar 2 or Age of Sigmar Soul Wars is what they're calling it. So there's plenty of editions to buy. So I'll go into what's in it in a minute. Let's just talk about what versions you can get. You can obviously buy the standard version of the game, which is the box set of the game, which includes your new Stormcast Eternal Sacrosanct Chamber, your new Nighthaunt, rule books, etc., that kind of standard setup. You can buy a Soul Wars plus Malign Sorcery collection, which is £140, and for that you get the box set again, but then you get the Malign Sorcery box, which of course includes all the endless spells, all the figures for the endless spells, rules for all the magic, etc. Or if you've got a bit more money to spend, you can go for a Warlord edition, not including the box set, which I'm kind of tempted with, but I don't know yet, so I'm still deciding. And that's £125, and that includes Malign Sorcery, the rule book, and the General's Handbook. So, and then you've also got the new release collection Warlord edition, which includes the game, the General's Handbook, and Malign Sorcery, all in one big package. So there's several packages, versions you can buy. It depends on A, how much you got to spend, B, do you really want all that, you know, that kind of thing. So it's just completely up to you. So let's talk about what's in it. So obviously we've got a new sort of Sigmar chamber being opened called the Sacrosanct Chamber. In that you're finally getting some wizards and some war machines, you Stormcast players, which is really cool. I've obviously seen and talked about this when I went to Warhammer Fest because that's where I first saw it. And then the Nighthaunt, which is Nagash's kind of legions. So that's what's in the main box. Of course, you might get the main core rulebook as a hardback like you did back in 8th edition 40k. So that's really cool. And of course, you get the other bits and pieces, books and pieces for being able to actually battle these models. You don't get Malign Sorcery with that on its own. Malign Sorcery comes as a separate package. In that you get your endless spells with all the information for magic within the mortal realms, which is not new but is new because there's different ways you can now work magic. It reminds me of the old battle magic supplement you got back in the day, which basically for Warhammer Fantasy. So you got the Warhammer Fantasy main box, and then you got battle magic, which kind of had all your magic cards, and it used to be cards you used to use. Obviously they've kind of done away with that. They're now into actually producing miniatures for these. Some of these miniatures are absolutely huge as well. I've seen some recent pictures online. They're massive. Like the big kind of chompy mouth thing, which runs around, is like this big. It's huge. So I'm really looking forward. I mean, I'm probably going to get this in drips and drabs. I can't exactly afford to splurge 100 and whatever on this. So I'll probably get the core rulebook first, and we'll have a look at that at some point. I'll probably also get Malign Sorcery at some point. So do look out for those things coming on the channel at some point, because I am looking to play more AOS in the future. So anyway, Malign, so let me give you my thoughts on Soul Wars. Do I think it's good? Yes. Have I seen anything bad yet? No. Does this worry me? Yes. And the reason I say it like that is because up to now I've looked at the Age of Sigmar stuff and the stuff they're rolling out. I can't see an issue with it. I've seen some of the new rules and some of the bits and pieces they've added in and made things a little bit fairer. And I'm going, yeah, that makes total sense. But then they've thrown in this whole sorcery thing. Now, my Malign Magic thoughts on Malign Magic I'll talk about in a minute. But the actual box set, if you're a new player, as usual, is great value for money. For what you're spending, you're getting a lot for your cash. And if you were a current Stormcast player and you're like, well, for me to buy all them separately, why don't I just... I would advise, if you've got a mate who's interested in the Nighthaunt, go splitsies, and if you play with him regularly anyway, the books you'll use together, so go splitsies and split the models off, or buy the box set, sell the Nighthaunt, or if you're a Nighthaunt fan, don't the Stormcast, vice versa. So you kind of can make your money kind of thing, or each of you buy a set and swap. So each of you buy a whole set, and whoever wants the Nighthaunt takes all the Nighthaunt models, so you've got double Nighthaunt, and the other one gets all double Stormcast. It depends how you want to do it, depends how good friends you've got. But I think this is great. I think it's another great example of Games Workshop doing box sets right for once. I thought this when they brought out 40k. I thought this when they brought out other box sets. Blood Bowl is another one. And, you know, you're getting your money's worth. Obviously with these Warlord packages, that's another question whether you're getting your money's worth. But when you start adding up, well, the box set's going to cost me 95, the General Handbook's going to cost me 20, the Malign Sorcery is going to cost me another 50. You start adding up and you're going, yeah, I might as well buy it if you can afford it in all in one go kind of thing. So that's my thoughts on the initial box set. There's a great video from the Stormcast guys. I'll talk about that in a minute, but they did a great video on what's the contents is, and they went into depth of what you get in the box, and then looking at the models and all sorts. I'll try and pop some links down below for that. Do go check it out. Malign Magic. Now this has been bouncing around since Malign Portents, and we've seen this skull thing that was going to float about and all this. I've got my reservations about endless spells, but I do like the way the mechanic kind of works. The fact is, if you decide to go second, you'll move the spell first, and it doesn't matter who casts the spell. This is only the gist I'm getting. If I'm wrong, do correct me in the comments down below. But I was really pleased that they've thrown something in the mix that both people can cast and both people can control, which makes it a little bit more awkward. If you've just done this big spell and then it backfires on you, it feels more kind of, it helps the narrative. I'm quite a narrative player. I kind of get into this idea of what's going on, and so I kind of like that there's more narrative ideas thrown in, so you can really tell a story about what's going on. Like, I cast a big mouth that's going to chomp across the room and it backfires and eats up half of my units. I like that kind of ideal, and they've really done it well. I also love the fact that the models for these, always in the future, magic had to be in your head. Going right back to Warhammer Fantasy Battles, magic and psychic powers, always in your head. My big question to Games Workshop is, are we going to see something similar with psychic powers in 40k? Is this going to transition over? Because for a long time you had Warhammer Fantasy Battles, Battle Magic, and you had 40k with Dark Millennium extra box set, which gave you extra things. So is 40k going to go down the same vein? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I'd really like to know. So new General Handbooks come in. So I already know a little bit of some of the points changes. I'm mainly interested in Skaven, of course, but I hear Thankful and Bone Ripper have got a points drop, which is the best news in the world, because before, them being at 500 points in a 2,000 point army, kind of wiped out kind of a lot of options. So it's quite nice that they've been reduced. I don't know much about any of the others, and obviously when I get the General's Handbook and when people start doing proper comparison videos, I'll cite some of those and make sure I'm passing on the information to you guys out there. So, new videos as well from Warhammer TV to go with Age of Sigmar. They've done like a whole set of release videos, and it is for beginners. So if you're a beginner on my channel, do check out the links down below, because I will pop these links up. It tells you everything from how to paint your models, how to base your models, how to play the game. It's a real step-by-step guide. Do I think Games Workshop are trying to cut out us, i.e. us independents who make channels and do channels? No. Do I think they're trying to be helpful to the wider, newer community of younger players? Yes. Because I remember when I was playing Fantasy back in the day, and you had horde books of rules, and it was really quite complicated. And unless you had someone there who knew it well enough to describe it, or you sat there and read the rules, but reading the rules can be misconstrued. Rules can be misconstrued. That's why there's constantly frequently asked questions come up. So I do think it's good that Games Workshop have taken it by the nettle and said, right, we need to actually show how this works properly. And then you can't. The other big thing, I'm getting sidetracked, but the other big thing is that base to base is now in the book. There can't be any more arguments about distance, because base to base is in the book. Now, I've only ever played a couple of games of Age of Sigmar, I'll be brutally honest, usually with some friends. We've always played base to base, but I have heard this conversation flying around of the fact that it wasn't actually nailed down in the book, and everyone was going, well, no, your sword comes out another 2 inches. You can't move that far. And then there was the whole argument of square bases versus round bases for the pile-in rule and all that kind of thing. Games Workshop solved it to an extent by saying stuff is measured base to base, but they haven't solved this square base versus circular base issue. And I won't rant about it, but I will talk about it on another video and talk about my models, because I'm old school. I have all mine on square bases, and yes, the sides are green. And a lot of you are going to go, no, don't do that. But I come from the old school, so that's what we did back in the day. And I suppose from my point of view, it's very easy to kind of go, I'm going to have to rebase 100. And if you're a Skaven player yourself, you know an average unit is 30 models at least. Now times that into 5,000 points, suddenly you've got a batshit crazy load of models to put circular bases on. So at the moment I'm still arguing myself with that, the jury's still out. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Do go check out the new vids on Warhammer TV. Other things I've noticed in releases recently, the warbands for Shadespire are being released without cards. I think this is aimed at Age of Sigmar players, but I think, to be honest, Games Workshop are ripping you off. And that's quite a bold statement. I might get done for that. Hang on. Bleep, 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 bleep. I might have to bleep that. I won't say that. I've said it. Oh well. Personally, I think it's a bit cheeky to ask 15 quid for the models when with cards they're 17.50. Let me know what you guys think. I think it's a bit cheeky from Games Workshop's point of view. I'll take back the rip-off statement. I don't know what it costs to produce models. I'm not up on that information, so I'm sorry I said it. But I do think it's a bit... I mean, from my point of view, if I was an Age of Sigmar player and I was waiting for this, I'd consider just buying the Shadespire stuff so I could play Shadespire anyway. But that's me. Anyway, so there's another thing that's been... I put this on my Facebook page as a bit of a status that I was going to let you guys... I was going to talk about this, which is the removal of units of Imperial Guard. Kirioth talked a lot about this last week, and I watched his videos, and basically it was more the kind of... if you wanted to build an army like a certain Imperial Guard. So the Cadian stuff's still there. The Cadia Stormtroopers and all that kind of stuff's still there. But if you wanted to do a purely Chacham force or Steel Legion force, a lot of those have now sold out. We still currently don't know whether or not this is because we're getting new versions or whether they're going to be only made to order or whatever. We haven't had a proper communique from Games Workshop to say this is what's happening. So until we do, I'm going to hold off on the speculation. There's been a couple of emails fly around of replies from Games Workshop saying, you know, it's to make way for new models. But we don't know whether that's to make way for new models in a different faction, same faction, new models of that same type, whether these are going to be made to order. So until I know more, we'll leave it there. One other thing I noticed when I was looking through the new releases today, when I was putting this stuff together for this video, was the start collecting boxes have gone up. And I thought, that's a bit cheeky. But then I noticed the battle tomes are with them. So you can now buy, for 70 quid mind, the battle tome and the Skeleton Start Collecting box, which I reviewed quite a while ago. See the link in the corner. And I went, well, hang on, it's 70 quid. There's no difference between me buying it separately still. It's the same price. But it forces you to pay those 70 quid up front. So I think, I don't know what Games Workshop have done there. But I know of stockists that still stock them separately. I'm sure there's plenty of places on the internet that do. So if you are worried and you were saving your pennies to get that £50 box and now it's hiked the price, do check out other suppliers and do check out other places because they will still. And do check out your local Games Workshop. Just because on the site they have that, they might still in store be doing the single boxes. I don't know, I haven't been to store recently, so I couldn't say. But that's kind of all my news for now. Obviously next week is the Primaris week where I talk about where the Primaris are from, and then I pop the Sergeants together, which I'm really looking forward to doing. And then we're into what have I bought this month, the week after. So hope you have a good week. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to say, if you've got anything to comment on anything I've said, pop it down in the comments. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. Check out the other videos I've already mentioned, and also check out the things that are probably popping up now. But I'll see you next time.